Wow. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Gnyp Gnop. I am Greg Gnyp. I will be your Gnyp. That is my good friend, Mr. Chris Yazinski over there. He will be your Gnop.
Yes.
Today we're talking, we're going to be talking about music, musicians, and their death and how they affected you and who affected you the most. And we're also going to talk about the heat. It's going to be this is going to be the first real heat. I mean, we had a couple of days back a few weeks ago, but I mean, this is going to be a good solid 5-6 days of temperatures, you know, where it's going to be like, let's be honest, you're sweating at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I got to be honest, that does not make me really happy. I'm not a huge guy on the heat. How about you?
Just remember, it's not the heat, but the stupidity that'll get you around here.
Oh, yes. No, you're. I mean, I, you know, and it's not even that hot yet right now. But I had to walk to a lawyer's office, and I got to be honest. On the way home, I was like, there's a little bit of sweat coming off this body here.
Yeah, it's the humidity, right? I mean, I'm having some air conditioning issues here. So if you have any friends with, 2 or 3 extra pounds of R22, to inbox, it's an older air conditioner, so it needs some love.
Yeah, this is not the time of the year that you want it to go out. I have a very old air conditioner too. It's one of the those. I've had some people go, that might want to be in a museum. We don't see those very often. And I'm like, it just needs to make one more year. Please make one more year. I just want one more year.
Of course.
See, I got to be honest. I can handle the cold better. And I think, really? and the reason why is with the cold, you can keep putting more clothes on.
Okay. But
with the heat, sooner or later, I'm just in skin. And first of all, I don't want to look at myself just in skin. And, and nor am I going to be walking down the street, going to the grocery store going, hello, everybody, I'm naked but cool.
Right.
Yeah.
I am a heat guy. I love the heat because, obviously the running business is all about, doing it in the summer months, the late spring, early fall. We never do winter events because nobody wants to do a winter event. And, again, it's the humidity that's the big factor. I mean, I can take the heat, but the humidity just pulls it out of you, right? I mean, everything you touch is sticky and just drives you nuts, so.
Well, last night, I was watching the news, and it was interesting because they were showing a bunch of the Canadian Olympic athletes training. And they were showing one of our, and I think she was a decathlete and she's training in a tent with all these space heaters on while she's running on the treadmill, getting ready for the heat of Tokyo, which should be somewhere around 33 to 35 Celsius, and then the humidity brings it up to about 40. So she's running in a tent with space heaters on, just to get used to heat.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty typical, right, for most athletes to emulate where they're going to be performing, right? So whether it's high altitude running, if you're going to be in competition in high altitude, I mean, that's what they work on, right? So give them that conditioning, right? Lionel Sanders for years as a triathlete has always done that. Turn the heat up in his workout room and just do it, even though he's going to be competing in Arizona or in Mexico.
See, and the thing is, the one thing, and I've never been a runner. I mean, I used to run and all that kind of stuff, but I've got to be honest. You drive there, you get there faster.
I get that, but
with air conditioning,
it's not that much fun. But
if you're running, can you flip each other off like you can in a car?
You can, but running's a real strange thing. And for those who are non-runners, never ever stop a runner who looks like he's or she's doing a long run that day and ask them for directions. Like roll the window down and say, "Excuse me, excuse me."
Yeah,
and because nothing pisses us off more than that. And I'll tell you why. Because we're in a zone, right? We're in our heads. We're working through all the issues. We're trying to figure out what's for dinner, and is the mom coming over, later on, or you're always working on issues in your head as you're doing long runs. And to be interrupted by someone saying, "Pardon me," it's like, oh.
Por favor.
I know.
Yeah.
You just want to throttle them, but anyway.
So since we're talking about heat, running, and having to keep yourself hydrated, what are you drinking?
Oh, it's an excellent question. So,
well, thank you very much. I take great pride in that question.
So, for those who don't know, I live in a small lakeside community called Amherstburg, Ontario.
About there.
Right, yeah, it's like right there. So it's like one of the most southern communities in the nation of Canada on Lake Erie, and if you do read your Crown Royal bottle, chances are it'll say that it's been bottled in our hometown. And this is a new kind of ready-serve product that Crown's got out. There's a Crown and Coke, which is really interesting and really good. And but I'm going with the that's the French side of it. For our American listeners and watchers, it's cranberry apple and Crown.
Well, I'm now intrigued because I just picked up cans of that a couple of days ago because I went, ooh, these are new.
They are new.
I'm going to try them. Yeah, so
and they're
I'm
wonderful, and they're effervescent.
That's good. I like that. See, and I'm doing the true summertime thing. It's pink lemonade.
Yes.
And vodka.
Well,
but I cheated and I put it in a free and clear black cherry bottle because then I could just throw it into the recycle bin.
Okay.
I'm a single guy. I don't like doing dishes. Okay.
And I put it in my travel coffee cup so no one knows that I'm drinking secretly as I'm driving my golf cart around the neighborhood. Well, yeah. Oh God.
All right. So.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of talk, and it's funny. Every once in a while, when you look on social media, different memes come up, and different people start talking about stuff. And you had posted it as well on the Gnyp Gnop page about what artist death affected you, affected someone.
Right. There was a lot of responses on that. Even in my inbox, there's a lot of responses on that. I was really surprised.
But it's true though. It's there's a lot of people who have musicians or actors or comedians or what have you that really affect someone and their affect them, because I mean a lot of people feel like there's a certain bond with their favorite musician.
I think there is. I think there is. I mean, as an adolescent, I mean, there's that whole rule too. If you're 13 or 14 years old, correct me if I'm wrong here, Greg. There's that.
I haven't been 13 or 14 in a long time, so I may not be able to correct you.
Right. But there's this musical theory that at the age of 13, the music that you were listening to in your room in seclusion is what actually forms your musical taste and opinion for the rest of your life.
Yep.
And you know what? They're right. I mean, at the age of 13, probably, Billy Bragg, Sex Pistols, a whole bunch of early stuff that I was listening to is still some of my favorite today. So not wrong. And, being secluded in your room as a, young teenager or an in-between or whatever the hell we call them, and you have that personal relationship with that music through the lyrics and, and through everything else.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was lucky. I was truly lucky that my sister Dina was got me out of the awful Nazareth, Boston,
rollers.
That hair sappy. Yes. Dina, thank you for introducing me to the English Beat, Sex Pistols, War, and all those bands.
To Dina.
To Dina, thank you for getting me away from hair bands and things like that. But and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. So, working at the radio station for as long as I did, I've had to announce a lot of musicians' deaths. I mean, I was on air. I announced that Freddie Mercury died.
Ooh.
I announced that Prince died. I announced David Bowie died. It was all things like that. But it's weird. The first one that ever really truly affected me,
yes,
was Roy Orbison.
Really?
Roy Orbison. I was driving in my car listening to the radio, and the DJ came on and said, ladies and gentlemen, we're listening to such and such radio. I'm really sorry to say this, but Roy Orbison has passed away at the age of, however old he was. And I remember just sitting in my car going, huh, wow. And for some reason, it really bothered me.
Yeah.
And it's not that I was like, I'd gone to see Roy Orbison 175 times in concert. I didn't, follow him, stalk him, like all that kind of stuff. But there was something about Roy Orbison, his voice, his kind of simplistic lyrics.
Yeah.
But just made me kind of go,
I didn't stalk him.
Yeah.
You don't have like a framed, restraining order on your wall from Roy Orbison?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe someday the estate will send it to me. I don't know, but it's that whole thing. I mean, and then for me, the only other artist that ever really bothered me was being on the radio and having to regretfully inform everybody that Gord Downey from the Tragically Hip had died, and that one really bothered me. But part of that one for me was, I had a relationship with him in the sense of, I worked with him at least 20 times.
Right.
And his last time he toured, we kind of reminisced about him singing at that small club in Windsor, holding on to the brass pole halfway through, just because he was able to do that.
Yeah, no, I remember that show. There was a couple really small club shows that he did in the late 80s. Through Windsor, that was they were fantastic. So who are you? They kept going.
Who's been someone that's affected you?
I got to tell you, for me, it was Bowie. A lot of people talk about on the Gnyp Gnop page about a lot of different artists. Mostly the one I thought that came up a lot was were the former Beatles. The late Beatles. John Lennon was one, I think, the name that came up one of the most. Let's talk about what some of the folks were saying. That Linda was talking about Kurt Cobain, Gordon Downey, Chris Cornell, Andy Gibb, my childhood crush. So there's that 13-year-old thing going on. Lisa Kish, who we worked with in radio for years, she said John Lennon and Marvin Gaye and Prince.
Yeah,
pretty soulful guys.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
And then I know Nick, who's a musician, was talking about Stevie Ray Vaughan, Kurt Cobain, Bowie, Prince. He said Prince affected him greatly. Cornell, Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those are all great artists in their own. But yeah, for me, it was Bowie, I got to tell you. I think the reason why Bowie affected me so much was because it was Bowie. When he died in like this class, right? Because it wasn't this, hey, David Bowie died today. It was David Bowie died today. Oh, and by the way, his last album got released immediately upon his death. And he just does it in this performance. It was performance art. The whole Lazarus thing, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I totally do get that. That was a rather dramatic way to make it. And I'm not making light of it, but make an exit. I mean, it's like you said, here's my last thing I give to you on my deathbed is more music.
He's awesome.
I mean, there's nothing you can, but the thing is, to me, what I don't understand, and this is something that when you hear about people almost going into mourning, and year after year they go to lay flowers at the home of Elvis Presley and things like that. It's like that's when I start to not understand the how it can affect you that much, because I guess maybe I've looked at it as maybe I'm missing something with the idea of not feeling that passionate about my musicians or my artists.
Yeah, I think we have so many personal relationships or personal run-ins with musicians over our years, right? So I think for us, it's mostly about how that music touched us personally, not so much the personality or knowing the person. And the names that people are naming off on the site were unbelievable on Gnyp Gnop. Davy Jones, Jerry Garcia, Bowie again, Michael Hutchinson. There's a name we haven't heard in a long time. Scott Weiland, poor Scott Weiland, right? I mean, the guy just couldn't get it right. Geez.
What though?
What a tragedy.
And when you see somebody like that, it's like so much talent, so many demons,
unbelievable,
and couldn't find find a good handler.
Yeah,
and I hate saying a handler, but when you're out on the road, there's a lot of temptation, there's a lot of evil, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and
right.
Let's be honest, everybody backstage isn't your friend.
Correct. There's obviously Freddie Mercury, Chris Cornell, and Chester Bennington. Wow, yeah, Jeff Buckley, Elliott Smith, Marvin Gaye, Cornell Zappa, Whitney Houston, Bowie and Prince, Petty, George Michaels. Wow.
Yeah, well,
Strummer.
hey, you got to admit. I mean, Wham touched a lot of people. I know. So it's gonna sound weird when I say this. And some people might actually kind of giggle at me when I say this, but when some of the girls from the Spice Girls start to die,
yes,
that's gonna bother me a little bit.
You think so?
Oh yeah, I was a huge Spice Girl fan. And for me, the Spice Girls came out at a really awesome time of my life where, I'd be driving to the club and I'd be getting ready to play stuff like Lords of Acid and White Zombie and Terrence Parker from this house music, but I'd be like driving in my car to Pontiac going, really, 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 really want to do If You Want to Be My Lover.
How much have you had to drink yet this morning? Are you serious?
No, I'm being honest. Yeah,
is this your guilty pleasure?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's my guilty. Oh,
holy
Spice Girls.
Shit.
I have all their dolls. I have their bus. An old girlfriend of mine went and bought me all this stuff.
Good God, man. How come I've known you for so long and I've never known this about you? This at least I admit the Goo Goo Dolls are one of my favorites, right? I just whatever. But that's my guilty pleasure, people. But honest to God, the Spice Girls?
Love the Spice Girls.
Wow.
Absolutely love the Spice Girls.
Wow. Have you seen the Spice Girls?
No, I've never seen them live, and that makes me upset. But I've like the movie. I have probably watched that movie.
There's a movie?
This is where people, yes, the Spice Girls have a movie.
Oh, shit.
It's a brilliant movie.
Is it?
Right? But that's the thing, right?
Talk about a hard day's night.
People say, you've never seen Forrest Gump? But I'm like, no, but I've seen Spice World 35, 40 times.
Spice World. Oh, my God.
I think that's what it's called. My mind might be a little bit off now.
I thought that was the competitor to the Bulk Barn or something.
No.
Come to Spice World.
Jeez. No, but it's true. But I guess maybe that's where I see that I can understand when people say something becomes a part of your life, and maybe someone, like I said, the Spice Girls are a weird guilty pleasure, and if one of them dies, I'm probably going to be like, that's a little bit of that era of my life that has kind of gone away.
Yeah. Someone's making
You're still
fun
laughing at me.
Well, someone's making fun of my Goo Goo Dolls thing. Hey, we're not all perfect. We're not all perfect.
And it really was called Spice World.
It was. Okay, great.
It was called Spice
I'm
World.
glad you verified that and fact-checked it for our listeners.
Yeah. Yeah, Rotten Tomato I think gives it a -7.
Yeah, I think we should probably do a guilty pleasure thing as well. I think that's a post that really deserves some really real big bearing on it, right? I mean, a lot of people listen to all kinds of crazy stuff. I also love classical music, right? And I love opera. I mean, for years when the kids were growing up, every Saturday I'd like make a big soup and stuff like that, listening to Live from the Met, and when my kids were really young, and they don't really positively reminisce about it, but they do remember that we were trying to instill some cultura in them, and that has always been a big favorite of mine. Matter of fact, we got a really good friend of mine of ours, John, who's in Spain.
John Stokes.
He's in Spain, right? Lead principal cellist of the symphony, and I think it's Barcelona. We should get him on one day.
which would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, he's played with Yo-Yo Ma. He's played with so many great musicians around the world.
I wonder if he still has his flat top, though.
I bet you he does. I bet you he does. He was awesome. He'd be the only guy with red hair and a flat top in the middle of a symphony. He was awesome. So we should get him on. Really, we should make a point of it, and because he's got some great stories about playing with musicians around the world.
See, for me, I don't like. I never think of, for me at least, like classical music as a guilty pleasure, because I think everybody should be introduced to classical music. But you know, I had my ex-wife had a guilty pleasure with an artist by the name of The Dream.
The Dream.
The Dream. And I used to laugh because it was almost like Pavlov's dogs. She'd be like, "Do you mind if I play?" And I'd go, "No, just don't play, turn it up too loudly." And then she would, after about the third song, I'd start getting angry. There's something about The Dream that couldn't put me in a bad mood.
Oh,
it was absolutely amazing.
It's like Smith's on a Rainy Day.
Oh, it was just, but it was like he was one of those kind of soul that R&B singer where he'd be like, "I love you so much, baby. You just make me want to go ooh," and it would be 10 minutes of making these noises, and I'd go, "I have to leave now. I'm going on my motorcycle. Enjoy your guilty pleasure." Just drive away.
Yeah, it's like that with.
And not all guilty pleasures are good for the other person.
Right. You and I have a musician that we absolutely adore and love, and my wife absolutely hates every time I put him on. And I won't say his name because he's a guest who's coming on soon to the show. But he is a famous kind of British musician.
Yeah.
He had a band called the Commotions.
Right. Now you're not. I
know. And I absolutely adore him. I absolutely.
Oh, you and me both. Yeah. Right. Well, and the other, talking about things, Gary Newman, my mother, God bless my mom, Mom, I'm sorry I did this to you so many times. But honestly, she would hear the beginning of Cars.
Yeah.
And she'd basically leave the house.
He has a new album coming out, by the way, in I think like a month or so.
And a tour.
Yeah, and a tour. Yep.
He's touring, which I'm kind of excited about. I've actually reached out to him. Hopefully,
nice.
Gary Newman will chat. And you know who also has new stuff coming out? Adam Ant.
Really?
Adam Ant, and he's going out on tour.
It's so funny because we were looking up Adam Ant material just the other day, my wife and I, because we were talking about when we were growing up. I always wanted a Vespa scooter as a kid, right? And a number of friends of ours had Honda scooters, and what were they called? I said they're called the Elite. But there was this entire ad campaign with Grace Jones driving a Honda Elite scooter with Adam Ant. They both kind of teamed up into these commercials for Honda. And I was like, that is a bizarre amalgamation of personalities. But anyway.
That's great, though. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, if you want something like a Vespa, come to me. I know a guy.
You know a guy?
I know a guy who knows a guy,
I know a guy.
But yeah, it's kind of I'm good with my guilty pleasures, and I'm going back to the whole thing about feeling something when somebody dies. I understand it. I guess what I don't understand is when it kind of consumes somebody. But I guess that's anything where when people worship any celebrity, it's like, I'm going to use the word, the Kardashians, when the Kardashians can influence people on buying lipstick.
Yeah.
It's like, listen, or Shaquille O'Neal selling toner ink cartridges. What does Shaquille O'Neal know about ink?
He's cashing in, man. That's all he's doing. He's just cashing in. Good for him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He can get away with it and do it.
But I guess it's that whole thing where, it's like I look at these guys and I go, what? God bless them for being so talented. And, and I think about Gwen Stefani and talking to her once. And she's like, she was one of the nicest, sweetest people I've ever seen to her fans. And but she always said, hey, listen, this is my job.
Yeah.
And I know these people appreciate what I do, But she goes, you have to remember, this is still my job. And I guess maybe that is working in this industry. That's the way I've seen it a lot of times is they're incredibly talented artists. And but they're out on tour. It's their job as well.
Yep.
And maybe that's why I don't have the,
the connection.
Because when the butcher has passed away, I'm sad. But I still want to, I can still go get another ham hocks. I can do it.
It goes back to the original argument that we had many, many shows ago, and that was that there's a personality that we know is the public persona, and then there's the person. And there are two different views on that. And, for instance, a great one of that is Don Cherry. Don Cherry plays this character, Don Cherry, that everyone, hears and sees on TV, with the ties and the suits and that's a character. And most of the time the musicians are characters.
Yeah.
Right. And that's it. And people need to understand that there's a personal life that needs to be put away, and then there's a public life. There has to be two.
Yeah. No, I definitely not trying to compare myself to Don Cherry or what have you, but I've had so many people say to me, on the radio, I'm pretty loud and obnoxious.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. And when I would do the club nights and the promotions, and then I would go to somebody's house, or I'd go to an event where I'm not having to be the guy on the radio,
right? And
they'd go, "You're so quiet," and I'm like,
yeah,
that's me.
Yeah. You and I both have that trait. I'm a guy who would rather just sit in the corner and just
drink.
Well, it all depends. All depends. But anyway, this brings us to another show.
Yeah, there we go. It was short and sweet, right to the point.
It was. And you know what? There's a lot of shows that you can go back on, either on our Facebook page, on Facebook Live. You can take in old episodes in the video section, or go to the YouTube page and check all the videos out there. Or if you're an audio person, literally you can pick up the audio version of this as a podcast anywhere. So iTunes, Spotify, all of them, Apple or Amazon,
do it,
Audible.
Do it.
Everyone's carrying it, so, and we thank them for that as well. Yeah, for sure.
Do it.
For sure. They should do it. It's a fun show. And some guests that are coming up on the show in the next couple of weeks.
Next week, we're going to be talking to a guy who knows Eminem very well because he toured with him and also was in the movie 8 Mile.
Ooh, there you go. Greg, till next week.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Stay healthy.
Absolutely. You too, brother. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Peace.